Moses certainly died. It says that quite plainly. Now, first, the plain, easy answer to that is that the meek are going to inherit the earth. But for a very simple and I think all-encompassing reply, Hebrews chapter 11 lists Enoch, lists all the prophets, and says these all died not having received the promises. I mean, how clear is that? Including Enoch. It doesn't say that Enoch was given immortality. He was removed from one place to another, a type probably of escaping the Great Tribulation, if you like. And then in the case of Elijah, letters came from him. So it's nonsense to say that they were made immortal prior to Jesus. Jesus is the firstborn from the dead. He's the one who first gets immortality. Hebrews 11 is a matter of being believed. It says, these all died. The prophets, Enoch included, all died, period. That means they're sleeping the sleep of death, Psalm 13:3. They're without recognition of time. No facts are rushing through their brain. They are asleep, unconscious, and the next second of their consciousness will be in the first resurrection, which will occur at the single second coming. 1 Corinthians 15:23 is a refrigerator verse par excellence, should be memorized from an early age. The parousia marks the first resurrection. That's when all the faithful of all the ages will come alive, having slept the sleep of death for centuries, millennia even. That's easy. That's a neat, untroubled answer, I think. As for the Transfiguration, that is a vision of the second coming. Unfortunately, in the NIV, you get very poor translation. It says, don't tell anybody what you've seen. That's exactly not what the Greek says. The Greek says, don't tell anybody, in Matthew 16, don't tell anybody about the vision, the orama. This was a vision, an enormous encouragement, may I say, to the very desperate condition in which the disciples found themselves, in opposition to the establishment. So they get this colossal encouragement by having a special vision of Moses and Elijah standing on the earth, not in heaven, on the earth, glorified, talking with Jesus. It's a vision. It's the future projected into the present. It doesn't mean that those people were literally alive, that they were conscious. It's a vision of what will be so, just as the book of Revelation is a vision of what will be so and what isn't yet so. It's a picture, in vision form, an orama of the... Yeah. Yes, his clothes were whiter than any launderer can make things white. Matthew 13, where the righteous will shine like the sun in its strength in their Father's future kingdom. This is not difficult. It wasn't meant to be complicated. But the moment we interpose the idea of an immortal conscious soul, a very Greek pagan idea, then the whole system is thrown into disarray, alas. And then you've got to put that immortal soul, so-called, either in heaven the moment a person dies, or into an ever-torturing hellfire, which is such an awful idea, the mind cannot even grasp it. So the intrusion, then, of the pagan idea of an immortal soul, that man is now bipartite, I should say, with a part of him that cannot die. The moment you introduce that, the whole of the easy scriptural teaching on death and future resurrection is thrown into mass chaos. And it's reinforced, alas, at every possible funeral service, where people are being induced to believe that their friends and relatives who've died are now conscious as disembodied souls. And of course, the parable of Lazarus, which is indeed a story, it's a parable, doesn't help that cause one bit, because in that story, the individuals there are embodied. They're not disembodied. This doesn't picture a so-called intermediate state, much less that you gain life after death, as Bishop Wright says. That's not right. You gain life after death. You die, and the next moment of consciousness is the resurrection. The dead know nothing at all, Ecclesiastes 9:5. There's no knowledge at all in the grave, in Sheol, where you're all going. Hades, Sheol. This is a place of non-consciousness. Once that is disturbed, Bible reading becomes very confused, because you're reading another paradigm into Scripture, and it's not making any sense.